All right, this is page 2 of the chapter 11 review for the geometry test. Here we're dealing with area of a triangle again, but in this case they didn't give us the base. We have the height, we have the area, but the base is missing. So let me set up this formula. We know that the area of a triangle is equal to the base, don't know that, times the height, 7.8, divided by 2. As I'm solving this, I could take 7.8 divided by 2 right now and simplify this side of it. Or I could multiply both sides of the equation by 2. Either way, once I continue solving, I will still get the same correct answer. So you can choose the one that's most comfortable for you. I feel like taking 7.8 divided by 2 right now. So that's what I'm going to try. 7.8 divided by 2 gives me 3.9. So 39.8 equals 3.9 times x. Now to solve for x, the missing base, I'm going to divide both sides by 3.9. My goal is to get x alone. 3.9 divided by 3.9 is 1. So I'm in good shape there. If I take 39.8 divided by 3.9, I get 10.205 stuff. So I'm going to round this to the nearest tenth, which is what the instructions say. So we'll go 10.2 miles, if we're going to label that. Let me check my key and make sure that I'm getting the same answer in both cases. Yeah, that's showing 10.2 miles as well. Okay, over here. This time we have the base, but we don't know the height. They did give us the area. So 6.5 equals the base times the height, which we don't know, divided by 2. I'm going to choose the opposite way to solve this. So again, you could take 3.6 divided by 2. That's all set as the coefficient of x, and then you would divide both sides by that number. I'm going to start instead by getting rid of the fraction by multiplying both sides by 2. So I take that side times 2 and this side times 2. Over here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the 2 just disappears sort of from that. If I take 2 times 6.5, that's going to be 13. So I have 13 equals 3.6x. To find x, I can divide both sides by 3.6. 13 divided by 3.6 gives 3.61111 repeating. So my final answer is going to be 3.6, and they're labeling it in yards. Okay, so we have reviewed areas of parallelograms and areas of triangles. What else can they throw at us? Trapezoids. So a trapezoid has an area formula that's different than what we've seen so far. What we're going to do here is take 1/2 times the height times the sum of the two bases. And usually they name them B1 plus B2. What this is indicating is that they're not both the same number. We wouldn't take the base 6.2 and add it twice, or add it to itself, then times the height and the 1/2. Instead, we've got to add both bases that they're showing us. So that's why they have the sub 1 and sub 2 on there. So let's plug in the stuff we have for our formula. Let's see, 1/2 times the height, which is 3, times the sum of the bases. We'll put 2.6 plus 6.2. I can type that whole thing into my calculator, and if I do it accurately, it will kick out the right answer. I'm going to break it into its parts though. If I take 2.6 plus 6.2, I get 8.8. If I take 3 times 1/2, that's going to give me 3/2 or 1.5. Times 8.8. And in this case, I end up with 13.2 square centimeters. Okay. Now you may be thinking to yourself, why is this formula so weird? And I never really took the opportunity to explain that in class. So I'm going to try something right now, which is if you were to take a copy of this trapezoid, so say you built a second one that has the exact same dimensions, and you flipped it upside down so that the 6.2 base was over here and the 2.6 base were right here, we would end up with a parallelogram. The whole bottom would be 8.8. The whole length of the top would be 8.8. So when you're finding, remember, the area of a parallelogram, you take base times height. Now if we did that in this case, adding the 2.6 to the 6.2, we have this whole parallelogram. But we doubled this, remember? To get this part, we took a copy of this, flipped it upside down so that we have this parallelogram now. So we're finding this formula of sort of 2 and then cutting it in half. So we end up with just our 1. So that's where it came from. And the idea for a triangle sort of comes from a similar place, that if you were to double up what you see in a triangle, and these are sometimes easier to see with right triangles, but if you double it, you're going to make yourself a rectangle. So then you take the base times the height and you divide by 2 so that you're just dealing with the triangle instead of sort of the doubled shape. I don't know if any of that made sense, but it helps me to remember where these formulas come from instead of just memorizing them, that I can remind myself of sort of a picture of what I'm doing. Okay, so another trapezoid. We have area is equal to 1/2 times the height, which is 3 again, times the sum of the bases, 1.5 plus 5.1. How symmetrical. 1.5 plus 5.1 is 6.6, and 1/2 times 3 is 3/2, or 1.5. So if I take 1.5 times 6.6, I get 9.9 square yards. Okay, only 2 trapezoid problems, which is kind of nice. If they had us solve this with one of the bases missing, that would have been some distribution, a little more work to handle. But if this is all that you see on the review, it's all you're going to get on the test too, so not too bad. This video is going kind of long, so maybe I'm going to stop right there and pick up the next part in the next one.